Do I have audio now? Audio check. Oh my gosh, is it still not working? Is this working? Okay, this looks like it's working. Well, sometimes things happen in life and we just keep on going. Let me repost the link. Okay, let's hope. Okay, hello again. Can you hear me now? This is a drum roll. Oh, God, thank God. I don't know what happened. Well, so much for trying to plan ahead where I'm like, I'm going to get the link and I'll be able to share it. And then I don't know, I guess I clicked something I didn't know. But I'm glad you can hear me. Yay. Okay. Yeah, I must have clicked something when I was trying to set it up and then it did the opposite of what I wanted. So, which is kind of funny that that would come up because I'm actually working on a video right now, which I should be sharing tomorrow, maybe Monday, but it's talking about the inverse correlation that most people think. Basically, the law of correspondence, thinking that the outside is happening and then that's creating our inner world, but really it's what we're doing and we're seeing that reflected back and learning how to understand that and then read that energy, if it's a reflector. How can I better understand what I'm getting reflected back rather than responding to the reflection? I feel like you can't say that really fast multiple times. But yeah, so for me, even here, it's like I clicked something 2 days ago, didn't realize what effect it would cause in my life. So there's it's like, what is it? Meta. It's like I'm talking about the thing and I just did the thing. But yeah, let me know if there's any more audio issues. Now I'm paranoid. Can you hear me loud enough? That's another thing because my little microphone indicator. Oh, yay! Got the crew in the house. Is anyone else drinking coffee today? Or is it just me? I'm pretty sure that I drink coffee for the like cream. It depends on where I am. Like if I'm in like I consider like New Zealand or Australia, they have oh, G Fuel. That is intense. Is that similar to like a Monster? Um, but did you get into the Eckhart Tolle? What is it? The Power of Now? Now I've forgotten which one. The Power of Now. I'm trying to remember his other books too. Um, and I am convinced, and I mean this in like the sweetest, most like respectful way. I feel like Eckhart Tolle is not from Earth. And I like he's so like the way he speaks, what he says. I feel like the earth has been blessed with him in it, but I'm just not sure he's human, and I'm thankful for him. Oh, okay. Yeah, I have found that I do not do well with canned drinks. When I used to compete, I remember one meet, it was like, every small meet, you're like practicing. You practice and practice, and then you practice in meets, and that for the big meets that will qualify for different teams. And I remember my coach, he wanted to experiment to see what would happen, because you're like wanting to get as hyped as you can to like create as much energy as you can to put it into the implement to throw it as far as possible. And he was like, okay, and this is obviously like me willing to do it, but he's like, I want you to try a Red Bull. Because for him, he competed and that helped a lot. It amped him up. And I had a Red Bull and it was like, I thought I was going to, I mean, I didn't honestly think I was going to have a heart attack, but I felt very strange. And it was like I couldn't contain the energy in my body, which has anybody here read My Stroke of Insight by Jill Bolte Taylor, I think her name is. And it's a woman who's a neuroscientist who one morning basically she's writing about the stroke she's experiencing. And like, she's like, oh, I'm getting up. And then as she's having the stroke, she's starting to lose, and I'll use that term loosely, she's starting to lose functions of her brain, which basically, I think it was the left side of her brain. She can no longer distinguish between like outside, like the energy outside of her and her, like her arm kind of starts to disappear into just energy. It's an incredible book. I think it's one of the most viewed TED Talks like ever. So if you haven't seen it, I highly suggest it because it really, especially the left part of our brain being the analytical reasoning, I think that that's one place that a lot of people get stuck, myself included. Um, and different healing modalities helps break through it, but I feel like it filters out the magic, the potential of what we're living in. Yeah, it is. I would recommend listening to the TED Talk and then reading the book. So if you like the TED Talk, you'll like it's really crazy because I mean, this is a scientist, and so she like goes through and it's like happening, and it's just like so interesting because that is, she studies the brain. And I can't remember if she actually studies things like stroke, which is even more interesting. It's been so many years since I've read it, but she's like trying to go and do her rowing machine and like things are like not functioning. She goes to try to call somebody because she's realizing something she needs help, and her brain can no longer decipher numbers. Like she can't do it. Which is but it's like her brain is still working to the extent that she's able to understand what she needs to do, but can't like deal with the real world symbols and language. I can't say enough good things about it. I think everyone should read it because it kind of starts to really dismantle, um, I guess, like an ego, like way, because I think that like science and spirituality, when they're blended, like a Dr. Joe Dispenza vibe, that's like where it's at. But if somebody gets too mental, too science, then they like reject the essence of the universe, which is, spirit, God, universe, whatever you want to call it. But this energy that's, in my opinion, beyond our comprehension. And then science kind of tries to explain it all. And I think that there will always be aspects to this universe that we don't understand, but we can work with. When we kind of accept and surrender to, we learn to flow with. It's like a river. Like we can't be like, okay, this is doing this and like explain it, but we can certainly feel its effect and its power and its influence if we're in a river, which also reminds me of Dr. Joe Dispenza. He talks about crossing that river of the unknown. Which also reminds me of what we were talking about in the Discord group about, I don't think it's talked about enough, so I wanted to talk about it today. But, when you're growing and when you are stepping into higher levels of awareness, there can be a lot of sadness. There can be mourning about who you've been, and also too, like having compassion and like sadness for that experience you've gone through, not in a like feel sorry, you're pathetic, you're such a victim way, but like wow, it's like you can see yourself from a different perspective and have a lot of love for yourself. That has helped me to tap into a lot of self-love of like wow, like thinking about different experiences as a kid and the meaning I put on them and how sad that made me, and it doesn't mean it's true, but that's what I thought was true. And like, it makes me want to just hug myself if I could, but hug that little me. But as you start to have these awarenesses and shifts of perspective, you have to let go of who you have been. And you don't even have to, you do. And there can be a lot of sadness in leaving those chapters of your life. And that is part of the process. I think stepping in to that letting go, which can come with sadness and mourning, is the gateway and the threshold to that new level, that new life, that new you, that new version of you. And I think it's just like stair steps. We do that each way. And as we grow and as we mature and as we build capacity for those bigger feelings that both can be true, that you can be sad and mourn who you used to be as you're excited for what's coming into your life. um, it's incredible. I'm getting John your I haven't actually heard that. I'm gonna write it down. I don't know. I don't even know how to say that, the name. What year do you know that person? I don't know if that's a male or a female name. Um, but I haven't heard. John says, I've heard lately of, y'all can read the comment because I don't know how to say that name, of being recommended instead of Neville. Have you read? If so, what do you think? Male. Okay. That was going to be, some of those little, fancy hats on the letters sometimes get me. I haven't read for sure. Ooh, Kue. Okay. Yeah. It sounds very fancy. Like I read it and I can understand it's a very beautiful sounding name. But no, I have not read that person's work. And I don't, in my experience, and I don't know that person, so I can't speak on it, but in terms of, yeah, it sounds fancy French. But instead of, I think in addition to, like if you're into Neville and somebody also thinks like it's in that realm, because I don't think there's one superior. Now, this is assuming that it's rooted in like truth, because there are some people who, teachers or people who share, and there can be a lot of truth that comes out, and there's a lot of distortion and bullshit. And, so I think as a soul, taking it in, seeing what resonates. And then also another way would be to kind of like, oh, okay, I can see how this other teacher is saying this and this other teacher, because at the end of the day, myself, everyone, like we're all humans. And auto suggestion. Maybe that's, if I've heard that name, it's been many years, but I've definitely never read anything. But auto suggestion, yeah, it's like a lot of people say the exact same thing, but they say it in a different way, and that different way may like snap you out of an old perspective into a new perspective, where maybe the person from 5 years ago is it helps you understand that, if that makes sense. I mean, I personally think Neville is practical. And in my specific experience, because I grew up with the religion, it helps me personally to kind of like deconstruct that and see the truth of what was behind the message. Like I was taking it one way as a kid, because I think that that's the way it was meant to be taken. But I can see a lot of truths that were there that I couldn't see at the time. So to me, it helps restore and like heal some things. But again, like if this other person, like auto suggestion, like how can you influence your subconscious mind? How can you understand, as much as we can understand, the essence of reality, that it's an inner outer, not an outer inner, even when these reoccurring experiences happen and you're like, there's no way that this is coming from me. This has been all my life the whole time. Because even if you think in my next video, I'm talking about even Carl Jung, like he's not at all usually seen as a spiritual teacher. I see him as that. I think his work, like, and I won't say compare, but I bring, spiritual teachers and Carl Jung, because yeah, you've got to get aware of who you're not aware of inside of you. And those are going to be a lot of those limiting beliefs, a lot of those misunderstandings of yourself, and learn to alchemize them and be with yourself, stand by yourself, so that you can start understanding your real power, so that you can start influencing that outer reflection. Let's see. The essence of his approach is about using suggestive phrases and affirmations instead of visual scenes, like Neville emphasizes. I mean, again, I think both work. I think, I have one of the things in like a critique, I guess, of Neville, and it's like, unless I talk to him, which I guess I could in a way, but I don't have that. I'm not in tune with my ability to do that. But since I did not live around him and can't talk to him at this point, some of the stuff about like, one of the big things I have about Neville's work that people implement that I don't think is like what he was meaning, but since I can't talk to him, I don't know, is the oh gosh, and now I just blanked on it. The like rewriting. God, I can't believe I'm blanking on it. If anyone knows what I'm talking about, where it's like you rewrite, you create a revision. There we go. Whew. But I think that that's where people go down a fantasy route. Thank you, Phoebe. You were right there. Maybe you typing it got into my brain, and then now I saw it. Thank you. Thank you for the help. You like threw the life jacket. But the issue I have with that, and again, I don't know how he meant it. I've read different ways of how he has spoken about it. But the idea that it's like, oh, this thing happened to me, I'm just going to pretend that it didn't, and I'm going to pretend this other thing happened. In my opinion, unless you're able to actually do that at the energetic level, then you're basically gaslighting yourself. And if you are already struggling in a situation where you're having a low self-image or low self-worth, and now you're like, no, 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 I'm not. I'm going to pretend and I'm going to deny, I'm going to abandon that part that needs me. And I'm going to pretend this other thing happened. And I'm just going to use all my energy and ignore this part. So, what do you think you're going to find in your outside world? You're going to find people who ignore your needs, who ignore your emotional experience, and who tell you something that's not true. I don't think that that's going to happen. Like, that doesn't mean if you're experiencing that, everyone around you is a liar. But what you'll notice is the seeds of gaslighting, of denial from other people, of your own experience. And what do you want? You want connection. You want to be seen. I was listening to Gabor Mate the other day. Hello, Asher. And he was talking about, it was a quick video, but he was talking about the two basic needs as a kid, a baby, are attachment and authenticity. And the attachment's the superior one because guess what? Attachment is linked to survival. And so when those compete, we'll say if you're in a home and you're like, oh, if I show up authentically as me, I'm not going to get that attachment. Even if you just perceive that that's it, then you will learn to self-reject, learn to suppress, learn to be this other person. And for me, that came out as people please. I'll help you. I'll save you. Because if I save you, then maybe I'll have that attachment. I'll have that connection. So if you have an attachment wound, which I think most everyone in the world has some sort of, something, even if you had the most perfect, well-intended parents, things come along the way and they're also human. So attachment wounds, and then you come up into trying to heal them, but you see something like revision and you're like, no, no, that didn't happen. You're just recreating the problem. So I think revision is about not telling yourself something else happened, but looking back on that scene with your adult mind and seeing the truth of yourself. You were always deserving. You didn't, you were always worthy, everything. So when you can revise the meaning, that's when you change your life, not what happened, in my opinion. Okay, let me catch up. So Phoebe, I'm curious, you say you have a problem with revision. Is that what your problem is as well? I agree. And again, we're all human. We're doing the best we can, but that's where, going back to John's point about like this or that, it's like both. Try them on. How does that feel for you? Does this feel rooted in truth and practicality? Or are you going to have to spend 99% of your energy on pretending? Because, the path of freeing myself from really heavy, like life limiting connections was not saying, oh, this never happened. It's understanding myself in that moment, shifting my perspective of how I see myself, and which helped me learn how to navigate current situations differently. That's how I see revision. And it's life changing. But if I were to stay energetically the same person, the same perspective, the same limiting beliefs, saying that didn't happen and waiting for my outside world to prove that my energy there, you see how it's just like, oh God, I feel like crazy, or I feel like discombobulated even just talking that way. Okay. I watched a video on this topic lately. It was not so much about changing the experience of the past, more about no matter what happened, I was always whole and complete. Yeah, exactly. And that just made me think of something. And I'm like, oh yeah, Gabor Mate says that, trauma, because something can happen to two people. They can go through the same experience, but there's two different reactions because the trauma, that wound, is what happens inside of you from that experience, not so much what the experience, but what happened inside of you. That's why some people could go through something, you'd be like, oh, that's nothing. Look what I went through. And I'm, like, it's what happened inside of you. What meaning, what ways do you move because of that past? So yeah, when you start to realize, oh my God, I was an amazing kid. I was so lovely. Oh, my environment struggled with maybe the maturity that it couldn't facilitate the needs I had, which means that my needs were like, they were worthy. but people couldn't meet them. There's a whole different thing, a whole different, if you were to think my needs are just, I don't deserve to have my needs met versus, wow, that person couldn't fulfill my needs. That's an entirely different perspective of yourself. Okay, John, trying an experiment. John, I gotta say, I love that you're like always like going and trying new things and like keeping moving onward and upward, waking up each day and assuming this is my first day of a newborn. I love that. No limitations, no self-conscious. Good. It's feeling liberating. Good. That's wonderful because it is. I think I was just filming my part of the video yesterday. And so some of this stuff is actually, or was I just thinking this? I don't remember. Sometimes my thoughts are like, woo, maybe it was in the Discord group we were talking about it. I can't remember, but it really is like when you start to learn, oh, if I identify through my past, I'm going to keep recreating it. Okay, how can I let go? Well, I got to go inward and find what's connected to the past. But however you do it, wonderful. This is the way I explain it. It doesn't mean it's like the end all be all, but my hope is that it helps you. Yeah, I agree with revision. We're revising the meaning and not what actually happened. Amen. I wish I had a soundtrack and it would be like the chorus singing hallelujah. Hello, Las Vegas. Oh my gosh, is it still raining? I know there was some monsoons there. I saw some really bad flooding. I hope you're okay. I'm currently changing my beliefs and I feel stuck in a negative state. Do you want to give me more information and maybe I can help you through that? You don't have to, whatever you feel comfortable with. But Asher, if you want to share some more, maybe we can get you through this, shift some perspective and help you. Hi, Abby. You might remember seeing me from my DP. I'm happy to say that after. Oh, that's wonderful. I've discovered consciousness. It's a wonderful. Okay, I gotta admit, it says you might remember me from seeing. Oh gosh, I can't even remember. I'm gonna need more coffee. It's like my brain is buffering. You might remember me seeing me from my DP. What is DP? Why am I so confused? Okay, I've discovered consciousness. Good. I feel like just ignored stuff I don't like is easier. Oh, like ignoring okay, you did say ignoring. I'm misreading. My Aries brain is like, let's go fast. And it's like, I can't read that fast. I can't comprehend. I have to go slower. This is me to me. Okay, so I feel like just ignoring stuff I don't like is easier. Ignoring it is self-rejection. That's what I had to learn. That when I kept doing one thing, hoping to get someplace, I was actually creating the energy that I kept experiencing. So when you ignore it, even though in the moment it feels easier, those long-term like echoes or results or consequences, I don't know what word you want to use there, but going through is the only way. Feeling it is what will dissolve it and what will process it. The more and more you ignore it, the more you're ignoring yourself, that little part of you. I say little, meaning like little younger version of you. And that part of you, excuse me, hang on. I was paranoid to push mute, that it wouldn't unmute. But when you ignore you, you're going to get ignored. And that wound of probably being and feeling not seen and ignored is just going to keep being. I don't know if that helps, but we can keep going in. Oh my gosh, I love the Discord shout outs. Honestly, though, I do have, I did think ahead, and this is, I'm going to put it in the chat now, but that's the link for a free 7-day trial of the Discord. I'm having a lot of fun. I feel like everyone in the group is like having some aha moments, connection, and it's literally free. Jump in, and we're about to start on Monday. We're starting a book club. Is it The Power of Now? Why can't I remember? This reminds me of how like I think that Eckhart Tolle is a wonderful, maybe I would say, before I was saying alien, but maybe it's angel. But yeah, we just finished a 7-day challenge of a meditation, 7-minute meditation. We check in and share our experiences. Yes, Power of Now. Thank you. Whew. But yeah, if you want to get in, you could literally jump in and be part of the book club. But yeah, it's free. I I can't say. I mean, who doesn't love free? But yeah, the link is there, and you can follow it, and you will not be charged. And there also, if you're wondering why there's a fee, it's in the questions and answers Q&A on that page. So check it out, and you can email me if you have more questions about it. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I'm glad you're okay. Sorry to hear about the flooding. I hope that it stops and that it soaks up. I used to live in the desert temporarily in Phoenix, and I just remember the first monsoon, um, and it was crazy. It was like in a matter of 5 minutes, like there was just water everywhere. I'd never seen anything like that. Um, okay, cool. Yeah. So Phoebe, what I would recommend, and again, I don't know your experience, so listen to yourself. You literally are your best guide. You just have to learn how to listen to yourself. Your body is going to be a big one. Are you constantly feeling tensed, tense? Um, and learning to just take moments, like for instance, that 7-day, 7-minute challenge we just did, it was so nice to have like accountability, like, okay, oh, I want to check in and like share that I've done it. Oh, okay. Wow. This helps me so much to just take a moment. And, I did a lot of heart, kind of feeling my heart. And one of the days actually I shared with the group, it was like, I wanted to feel that connection to myself, to the universe, God. And there was like resistance. And I was like, what is this? And it was like, I was unconscious that I was kind of blocking my heart because there was sadness that I was feeling. And there was sadness about moving out of a part of my life or a stage of my life or a chapter of my life. And I was blocking my heart from feeling because I didn't want to feel the sadness. But unconsciously, I was still feeling the sadness. But consciously, I wasn't able to feel the bigger emotions. So that's one thing about emotions, that is, if you're trying to block out, I don't want to say bad ones, painful ones, you also block out your ability to feel its equal opposite. So if you're feeling a lot of sadness, you're blocking off and you're like, no, I don't want to feel that. Understandable. Who does? At the same time, though, you need to know that you're also blocking off that equivalent of the opposite. You don't just get to say, okay, no painful emotions, only nice ones. When you block out emotions or trying to repress them, you do that collectively. So with my experience, when I was meditating and I started feeling that, there was tears coming out. I was feeling the sadness, but when I felt it, it was able to process. And then my heart was able to feel bigger, to feel joy, to feel connection. So yeah, and the pains are temporary when you alchemize, when you transmute them. One of the things about manifestation or learning to consciously create is understanding that you have to go deep into your shadow. Shadow isn't bad. Shadow isn't evil. I think I'm like revealing what I used to think it was. But shadow is simply the part of you that you're not consciously aware of. So if you're not consciously aware of a part of your house and there's like a lot of stuff in there that, I don't know if there's like a fire or there's something in there that's rotting, right? Maybe it's like a box of fruit and you're like, where are these flies coming from? Why does it smell like that? Well, when you become aware of the door and you open it up, you can clean it up and then you have access to more of you, more depth, more connection. So it can feel, in my opinion, daunting and like, oh, this is going to last forever. If I open up this painful box, then it's just going to be pain forever. Or I'm going to start having negative experiences when I feel you're energetically being that, no matter if you're conscious to it or not. So diving in is the step to remove it. It's not going to suddenly open the door of horrible things. Okay. I'm getting off of my TED Talk box. Okay. Let's see. So yeah, Phoebe, let me know if that helped or if you wanted me to dive in more different things. But I feel you, it's understandable because that was a survival mechanism. I can't deal with this. And also too, as a kid, I don't know what you've been through, But as a kid, a lot of times we have experiences that we literally don't have the tools to process. So we have to repress or like, okay, I don't know what to do with that. I got to put it away. But now that we're adults and we have a higher level of, our executive function, our neocortex, we have the ability to see those lower level brain, interpretation, survival modes and stuff. And when we're able to see it from that way, then we can heal and transmute and move on and move forward. But it makes sense that it would habitually want to do that, because before you couldn't as a kid, most likely. Okay. Let's see. All right. I was in a high state of being where I was indestructible, and now it's gotten like this because I had to remove these beliefs. And it could be part of the process. I guess I'm still confused a bit on like what that's like for you, the high and low. And we are, it's a wave. And also I think too of being more in yourself as opposed to relying on, I feel really good today, I feel terrible today, and like relating to that or identifying as that is you. So that's another shift you could have, like, oh, and maybe being more curious and like an investigator, putting on a detective hat. Okay, why do I keep feeling this? What is this? If you have all these abilities. Anyway, let me know if that helps. I feel like I'm going deep into, I don't know. Okay. Let's see. Power of Now is brilliant. I tried his inner body meditation for trapped emotions, which I felt my heart for ages. Next day I woke up. Nice. That's wonderful, John. I love to hear that. And yeah, like a lot of things in our body, I've worked with a somatic therapist who has helped tremendously doing a lot of body work. So acupuncture, chiropractic work, again, that was at a stage in my life that I started where I was like, there's no way I have any money to do this. And I just was like, okay, I'll do one. And then there's like, all right. And things kind of came together. But I was not like, oh, this is so easy. I have all this money. Let me pay this person to help me. It was like, I didn't know how I was going to pay rent, but this feels important. And then kind of things would come together and I would have the means. So I just highly encourage it. If you don't have the means right now, I cannot suggest enough to start looking at qualified somatic therapists and movements online, because that can help your body to kind of start moving. And if you don't move or stretch, start to move your body, because that's going to be really helpful. You'll need energy to be able to, you want to get your reserve up so you can use it to start to transmute the energy of the past. Needing to allow the pain so that the love can come through. Yeah, exactly. It's like if your home is full of boxes and you're like, all right, I have all this wonderful new stuff I went to Costco to buy. You literally, or maybe you've won a grand prize, but there's no space for it. So you've got to move the old out to create space for those new beautiful things that you deserve to have. Like, I cannot stress enough, whatever it is right now that is in your daydream fantasy, you deserve to have it. You deserve to have it. The only thing standing in your way is perspective, most likely opinions, expectations, or judgments from other people, and you're misunderstanding that that's part of you, or that has anything to do with you. That's like, when you can understand that, and again, for me, it's a process. It's layers. It can be instant and it might be a layered process. So, but when you can start to say, what if that were true? That can completely change your life. Because then you're not fighting with like, oh, but I'm not worthy. Oh, but I'm not worthy. When did I get that opinion? Oh, that person said this. And then I started being insecure because I thought that that was true. Oh, I can look back and see maybe that was actually a projection of their insecurities. Oh my God. It was never about me in the first place. Like, it's so life-changing. I noticed that the meditation practice that I especially felt the wholeness and the positive emotion if I went to it while I was stressed or more. That's interesting. And I mean, how beautiful too that when you needed you the most, you were there for you. So that connection to self does make a lot of sense for me. I feel healed and acknowledge my past, using my higher self to speak to my inner child, but I feel some kind of reconciliation with my past relationship in a healthy way, but have zero contact. Okay, let me see if I'm okay. So you feel healed and acknowledge your past, and you're using your higher self to speak to your inner child, but you feel some kind of reconciliation. Oh, you want a reconciliation, but right now there's zero contact. Is that what you're asking? Is it Fola? I hope that's how you say your name. Let me know if that's what you're saying, that you feel like you're good, but part of you is wanting a reconciliation, but y'all are not contacting each other. Sorry, my words are wee. Okay. Let me know if that's what you're asking. I just want to be really clear so I can give you the best, share a different perspective potentially to help. Okay, Phoebe, that does help. I know I have done that. I was always a person as a child that had to be seen, had to be the adult when I shouldn't have been. Well, so parentification. I don't know why that sounds weird right now. I don't know if you studied or listened to that, and are you aware of that? I would also imagine, like, is your attachment style, gosh, it's like my brain's like, I'm gonna be funny. I'm gonna hide all of these phrases and words from you just to be silly. I'm like, okay, sorry. Okay, attachment styles are you avoidant attachment style? Like more distant, move away. You might find people who are a little bit smothery, who a bit of a like latch onto you and then want you to take care of everything. Does that resonate, Phoebe, or no? I'm always a person who has to push for others to do the things they need to do to take care of themselves, and I end up neglecting myself to keep and take care of other people now too. Hang on a second. Um, so I hear you. And what fear do you have if you don't take care of them? If you don't push them to take care of themselves, who would that make you? What would that make you? If you want to answer it in the group, you don't have to. Okay, Asher, when you said we don't see reality as it is, you're literally so right. As I stated, removing these beliefs, light started to look brighter and people are nicer. The world looks so different now. Yeah, it's literally, let's see if I have my glasses right here. It's literally like you take off one pair and you put on another one. Like, it's unbelievable, because if you go, you can have the same situation and maybe somebody, and I'm trying better and better to communicate this, but it's like somebody could, not text you. And if you have the limiting beliefs, everyone leaves me glasses, you'll say, oh, they're leaving me. I'm not good enough. I knew I should have done this or that. It's because of me. Maybe if I can prove to them, right? But if you have, I wish I had another pair of glasses, but if you had another pair, you had your contact lenses of self-worth, you're like, oh, okay, well, maybe they're having an issue in their life. Maybe they're really busy. Maybe, maybe they're not into me and that's okay. Or because I know that I'm worthy, or maybe, there's other things. And so you can see that, know you, and navigate, as opposed to letting their reaction or their behavior dictate who you are. And again, that kind of mirroring heavily makes sense, as when we're a kid, we have to mirror, like, okay, how can I fit in here? Because I want to attach, I need to connect and be taken care of. And Gabor Mate also said that we are, in terms of species, I forget what word he used, but human beings require the most time to be cared for, compared to all other beings on the earth. So I thought that was fascinating. Okay. But yeah, Asher, you literally can see things in an entirely new way because you're maintaining and you're connecting to yourself as opposed to relating through other people. In my course, I talk about this as EEL, emotionally echolocating, and learning how to identify when you're doing it. And then you can start to learn how to mind the gap. And when you do that over and over and over, you're literally rewiring your mind and your brain, I should say. I guess it's actually rewiring your mind to be a different person. And it's incredible. It's changed my life. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm doing the old thing. And that's okay. That doesn't mean, oh God, I've lost it all. I'm at the starting point. You can have a day where you kind of like do that. And that doesn't mean anything about your future. Okay. So one of the things for you, Fola, that I would get clear on is what do you feel the reconciliation will bring you? And I'm not saying do or don't. I'm just, I want you to be clear on what you're needing or wanting from it. Because if you're, do you feel guilty? Are you wanting them to see your progress? Or what is that? I thought of you, Magda. I was like, mind the gap. I'm telling you, we need shirts. And I don't have any sort of like subway system or like, train or anything, but I know that in like places it like says that mind the gap. I'm like, yes, emotionally, psychologically. But I do feel that, my next video is about law of correspondence, but I do feel the more and more you kind of open to like seeing your outside world as kind of some clues, like what are you drawn to? What is your subconscious potentially like? Oh, look at this. That can really help. Now, some people go extreme. They're like, wait a second, I got five M&Ms that are red. What does this mean? And I'm not saying it doesn't mean something, but like generally, I don't know how much time you have in the day to do that, but within reason, in my opinion. Okay. When you project something that you don't want to, how to make it disappear? I mean, not to project it anymore. Sometimes we go against ourselves. Okay, so what kind of projection? Um, I mean, for one, it would be, what are you projecting? Is it that person is rude? Is it that person is bad? They're lazy? Trying to think of other things. They don't try. Like, what is the projection? Because it's going to tell you if it's coming from you, then boom, you know it straight away. And you've got to look at that within yourself. That's what makes it disappear. A very like general, I guess, like it's not real deep, but it gives you the point. But for a long time, I was like, man, people who are really loud and who want a lot of attention, like, God, it's like so annoying. It's so rude. But then I'm like, wait a second. I think that's what I do. I'm loud because I want attention, because I want validation. Oh my. And when I identified it and I looked at it and I made it okay with me, then other people could do it. And it's like I felt connected to them. And I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know why they're doing it, but like because I can own it in me, I don't have to judge it in others, is how I have dealt with projection. Yeah, projection. Well, it depends on what disappointment. Can you give me a little bit um, more info? That would help me to. Okay, so attachment. I mean, it's mostly anxious, but since my last relationship with my SP, when things got really bad, I was becoming avoidant in some things because he got to be anxious. Yeah, and it can shift. It can. Yeah, that does make sense that you're kind of caretaking. I'm in a recovering anxiously attached person, so I totally get it. So the big thing to break out of that is understanding jealousy. And that might not make sense to you right now because I fought it, I think, for 4 years. So I know you can do it quicker than me. um, but the idea of jealousy from the book Rays of Dawn. And if you haven't gotten that book, I don't necessarily like resonate with the nutritional aspect, but his breakdown of the polarities of energy it changed my life when it comes to relationships. That with the person I was working with somatically. But let me get organized here. So the idea of jealousy is anytime you feel suspicious, distrusting, anxious, or you start to compare yourself. So suspicious, distrusting, comparison, and anxiety. If you start to have that in direct relation to that person's connection with you, and for me, it's like, oh no, they're not communicating, they're getting kind of distant, they were kind of cold, and then I would start to get really anxious. That is actually rooted in self abandonment. That this took me a long time to get because I was very resistant to accepting that I was rejecting myself. I'm like, how the hell am I rejecting myself? I am trying to get a need met. I'm with me, but it's not. Your attention is with my attention was with the other person. What are they going to do? And very much the same, like anxiously attached and avoidant attachment are just two sides of the same coin. In my opinion and perspective, people who are anxiously attached, the caregivers and the emotional connections moved too far away and they were too inconsistent. And so you had to chase that. And so that's in your head, my head, everyone's head who has that. That's the model of relationship. I have to chase them to get that connection. But with an avoidant attachment style, the connection came too close, smothering. There could have been some sort of assault kind of a thing. So you want to move away from the connection if that's happened. But they're both not feeling secure in that attachment. So the same thing, suspicion comes up. Oh, I don't know about this person. What are they doing? It's that same thing, self-rejection. I'm not safe, but relating through that person's behavior and heavily rooted through past experiences. So, with that said, and I call this emotional echolocating, but to break out of it, you first have to identify it. Magda, you're going to love it. I feel like you need your own like sign and you just stand up and you're like, mind the gap. But this is where yeah. So it's going to be learning about self-rejection because that's what it's really about. Because some of the worst experiences and most painful experiences of my life was my self-rejection in the moments of, say someone broke up with me and I'm like, oh God, and it's like I felt like I was going to die. Like part of me is being part of me that was attached to me was being ripped apart kind of a thing. But looking back, that pain was me not staying with myself. So the most intense abandonment is self-abandonment. Because when you learn to start staying with yourself, if somebody leaves, yes, it's painful and it's not debilitating and just like, where it like takes part of you with it kind of a thing. Yeah. And so this is totally common. Like, so your attachment wound comes in relationships, right? Like you had a relationship with somebody, in whatever capacity early on as a caregiver, that was affected, that was wounded in whatever way. So when you get in a relationship, that's when it starts coming up. So at first it feels fine, but as you get closer, it's going to bring the wound up. This is a good thing. Repeat after me. It's a good thing because it's showing you and bringing to your awareness what is not healed. And when you can see it and heal it, that's when it can move on to, a different experiences. So the reason it comes up like this is because it's going to be healed through relationships as well. So you want to have your tools, you want to have your different modalities, you want to start trying to process those past experiences so that when you get either in the current experience or different experiences, uh, you'll have a new energy, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go back to the what to do when you're in self-rejection because it's like, mom, who doesn't want to know that? So when you start to notice, okay, anxiety, suspicion, distrust, comparison, and I was very heavy into the anxiety and the comparison. Oh no, what if that person goes out and finds a new person? Oh, where's my energy? It's not with me. I'm worried that I'm not good enough. Oh, okay. I'm literally self-rejecting. So just be using your body as feedback and starting to listen when you start to get anxious, start having the, okay, oh, I'm starting to be suspicious, or I'm starting to get really anxious that they're going to leave. Oh, I'm leaving me. Okay, I can do this. I'm going to stay with myself. I've never done this. I'm going to learn how to do it. And you're literally doing that helps because now you're starting, this is new terrain and it's okay. You're not going to be perfect. That's okay. It took me 4 years to even understand what I just told you. 4 years, not because it takes that long, but because I resisted it over and over and over and over again. Finally, I was like, ultimately for me, I got into abusive relationship and into being attacked. It's like, I can't do that. I literally cannot do this anymore. So I don't want anyone to have to get to that level. So that's what finally changed my mind. Or okay, I'm willing to see it. So when you do that and you start, okay, I'm doing that old thing. Okay, how can I take care of me? And for me, that looks like going to work with my hands, maybe going for a walk. Maybe, what is it that brings you joy? What is it that you can do to nurture that part of you that's fearful that you're going to be all alone? So you got to learn to stay with you. And it feels counterintuitive at first, but when you do this, it feels better because the pain of that perceived separation or whatever, it's not as much because you're with yourself. So yeah. Okay, let's see. So yeah, I really hope that helps. And I do, if you want more on that, I have a whole playlist of abandonment, and that I talk about that a lot more. I would share it, but it would take me like, I can share it later, I guess. I don't know. I need to have, I don't know how to do that and this so far. This is where I am. Okay. Let's see. Can I still do my hobbies, art, drawing, even though I'm removing them? Oh, absolutely. Well, what do you mean removing them? I'm confused. Can you help me understand what you mean? Bro cartoon. I wonder if yearning for the past is self-rejection of the present. Yes. What is it about the past? And also the idea that something that happened, you'll never get again. So it's, I mean, I think so, but there's an idea in it. So if you can get to the idea, you can have it in the present moment. I used to do this all the time with people. Oh man, things were so much better when I was with that person or when I was in that relationship. But that wasn't true. It was what I was looking for by having that relationship. I was identifying that I was worth more, that I wasn't alone, that my quality of life was better because of that relationship. But that wasn't true. I kept rejecting what I have and who I am and what I can do because I was relating through my self-worth through a person. So I don't know what you're saying in terms of this, but that kind of thing. What is it about the past situation? What end emotion? Do you know what end emotion? I'm going to go to your current one. I know how you feel, self-loathing. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It does get boring. You're like, okay, I'm kind of over this. There has to be more than life, more to life than this. Okay. Oh, yeah. Your beliefs have nothing to do with your like drawn to that brings you joy. If it makes you feel excited, joyful, happy, peaceful, you can remove beliefs and still do those things. Move towards things in your life that bring you peace, that make you excited. That will help you because limiting belief stuff is going to make you feel heavy and low and not good. So the anything in the opposite realm is going to be helpful. We want to like put those coals on the fire and build that energy so you can get into that creative as opposed to the survival. Okay. I mean, you have my total respect and like you're very resilient, Phoebe, to be doing that and start to just consider, okay, what do I need? So it's not about necessarily, okay, well, no to my mom and no to my child. What do I need? Right? It's like, how can I include myself in this conversation? What am I sacrificing? Because if you think about a physical body, you wouldn't be like, okay, well, I'm going to sacrifice my leg. They need it because that is like you're going to deteriorate. And how can you connect with other people if you're not whole? So getting and creating space and communicating what you need. And I don't know how old your child is, so that could, be a bigger thing. But how can you learn to ask for help as a way to honor yourself? There's all of these different kind of conversations you can have with yourself that can start opening up you just seeing yourself as worthy to be at the table of consideration. That can be a big thing. And then that like opens up different like perceptions and ideas. So you won't have them all right now, but when you open the first door, it's going to reveal more, and then open the next door, reveal more. And it might feel very selfish if you even ask for help. Because if the idea of, oh, who am I to ask for help? These other people need me and they don't have, they're unable. You don't have to sacrifice yourself because others can't help themselves, but you want to get aware of what meaning. I would say get clear on who you would be if you said no to some things. And if you said, I actually need this, and prioritize yourself higher. Can you talk about addiction and mental demons saying quitting is hard and painful and therefore I will suffer? Um, well, I would heavily suggest Gabor Mate. A lot of his work, he worked specifically with addiction in Vancouver, British Columbia, for a long time. Which is they have a one area of town that's incredible and like incredibly like dense in terms of people addicted. I think fentanyl right now is, and just like deaths per with addiction. So his work heavily is in that realm, which I can't suggest him enough. So these ideas that it's hard, and it's too painful. If you think about the messages of that voice, did anybody growing up say similar things? A dad, uncle, teacher, mom, sibling? I'm curious about that. Okay. Oh, I see. Well, I one of the things for you, Fola, is what emotion, like, how can you stay with yourself, have faith, honor yourself, allow yourself to be and continue to heal? Because is it fear? Oh no, if I don't reach out, if we don't get back together, then I'm going to be alone. I won't have this person. If I don't have this person, life is over. Where is that? And it can be painful. Um, but if you can and just start looking in there more, you can get more clear on yourself. And I think that it can help a lot with some of these, because again, if it's a fear of, if I don't do this, if we don't get back together, then I'm not going to have XYZ, or this relationship is my chance to have peace and security in life, or I'm not sure what that sounds like to you, but I would like look into that and kind of get more clear on, what does the relationship mean? What is the end emotions I perceive and getting it? How can I start giving that to myself now? We're not trying to say no, yay or nay to the relationship, but we want to get clear on you and allow you to start having that energy so it's natural. And then that would be a natural evolution to, as you build your capacity to hold that energy more. Okay. Oh, Dr. K. He's a Harvard trained psychologist who mostly makes self-help. Dr. K, I'm curious. I don't know. I don't think I've heard of Dr. K. Tell me more. Do you have a link? Um, I love how you're like, that was so 15 minutes ago. I guess I don't know if you'll hear that in like 15 minutes or now, but anyway. All right. Does anyone have any other questions? These are really wonderful, amazing questions, by the way. And I really am thrilled to have all y'all be on here right now and hear about your life. Oh my God. Up to speed. But yeah, I really appreciate y'all being here, being open, sharing, connecting. And I'm going to do it again. If you want to join us in the Discord, I'm going to leave a link again, because there's literally no risk. You can jump in there, literally experience it for 7 days and chat, hang out. And then you're like, oh, cool. If you get to be the judge if it's good for you, basically, because who knows what's best for you most? You. So we're just putting out some options of other ways you can get some accountability, some support, some encouragement. Um, oh yeah. I mean, I know, I feel like I have a heavily biased opinion, but it's pretty awesome. And one of those things like, no, I'm being serious. Like, it's very helpful. So yeah. Okay, any other questions? What's going on? Or does anyone want to share what they're doing today? Again, it's like probably counting the days of how many more sunny days there are until the gray skies come back in the Pacific Northwest. So probably want to spend some time outside, and then I got some errands to do. But yeah, what is everyone else doing? And then if you also have more questions, bring them at me. Oh, I have really loved getting to know everybody. Oh, yes. Oh my gosh. Tell us the scene. What's happening on this dog walk? Your dog is so cute, by the way. I was not prepared. And I don't, is it he, she? What's your dog's name? But in that picture you shared on the Discord, oh, I'm reading Pam Grout's E squared. Ooh, that sounds interesting. Can you tell us more, John? What's it about? Oh my gosh. And yeah, he was just like, he kind of like looked like he was like, Mom, what are you doing? Are you taking a picture of me? Of course. Oh my gosh, packing for a cruise? I need more details. My moon's in Sagittarius, all things trips. Please reveal more. How long? Where are you going? What's happening? I don't have a pet. I used to have a pet many years ago. I had a little weenie dog named Augustus, but that he passed away. But yeah, and then it's like I really want to start traveling more. I'm actually going to do a long road trip to Texas and then potentially go to New Zealand later. So it's like, I really want an animal, but also I feel like I want to be able to like be more steady. I don't know. So my friend just got a puppy, and so I've been vicariously living through puppy pictures and videos. But my partner and I really want to get a cat. So yeah. Anyway, wait, Vancouver, British Columbia, or Washington? Okay, leaving at a boon. And is that Vancouver? Both of y'all. This is so funny because if both of y'all happen to be talking about Vancouver, British Columbia, that is wild. You're leaving out of it. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. I love Vancouver, British Columbia. I've only been there once though. Oh my gosh, an Abraham Hicks cruise? That is what's up. Let's get in that vortex on in one place on the water. What island for Hawaii? My partner grew up on Oahu. Oh my gosh, third one. I'm curious. It seems like it'd be so interesting. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm like, wow. I mean, like, I've never been on a cruise for one, so let's just start there. But the idea of being on a cruise, which seems exciting, Sagittarius moon, and like being around people who are like totally into, the cool stuff, in my opinion, that just sounds like magic. Like, do you get up and like have breakfast and then you like go to like events and then lunch and then more events? Like, what kind of things happen on an Abraham Hicks cruise? I'm like, I didn't even know that existed for one. So this is like, you've just expanded my world, by the way. So thank you. But yeah, let me know because I am very curious. I don't know if y'all can hear the music. Um, they're like blasting it. So, but you know what? Maybe that's just it's like giving us that energy to feel the life in today. So one of the things I would encourage you to do. Oh, by the way, also I'm going to tantalize y'all more about the Discord because I do, and I haven't even shared it with the group yet, but I will probably after this. But I have an idea for a challenge that's basically combining two things, and it has to do with visualizing. Spoiler alert, but we're going to do it in a way that scientifically we're going to combine science and more of a spiritual visualization. Well, bro cartoon, come over at least for 7 days, use it for 7 days at least, come on, let's connect. It's free. And then there's a fee, but I do talk about why I'm charging in on the page. And that took me a long time to be able to do, by the way. This is me dealing with my own sense of worth, and you're watching real time me evolving into it and not feeling guilty or ashamed or like wrong. But having an idea, having a reason why, and learning different things. And actually, recently I learned about pricing because I was having a hard time. I was like, oh, I don't want to do it. I feel bad to charge people. I want people to connect. But I was reading this book about pricing, and it's like people who pay for something actually are able to value it and experience it better. Like, not better, but like deeper. And so, yeah, I think you're going to really like it. And I'm really curious about the experience because it was basically because we did the last week's challenge. And I was thinking, oh, maybe we can do a visualization one. And then if y'all have challenges you want to do with the group, post it in the Discord. But yeah, I'm excited because I've never done it. I've never done it, but I know that one thing scientifically works. And then people who struggle with visualizing are feeling safe in living it. Oh, it was from thinking when we were talking about thinking of the end versus thinking from the end. That's what inspired this next challenge. I'm like, mic drop. Anyway, can y'all hear the music? It's like so loud. And I'm originally from San Antonio, so like this kind of beat, like a cumbia kind of beat, is like definitely it's reminiscent. Oh, thank you. Thanks for the support. I appreciate it. But yeah, and it's just interesting too. This is another thing, talking about like the different glasses. And I actually talked about this in the Discord. Again, I know we keep talking about the Discord, but honestly, I've talked in it so much, and like sharing it like brings up a lot of stuff and like allows you to process and like shift perspective, because like, oh my gosh, oh. But just sharing, like there were a couple comments last week like on my videos, and like people saying things, and in a former iteration of myself, it would have like crushed me. I would have felt so ashamed and so guilty because of the perspective I've had of myself and who I am, and all the things, and my sexuality. But being where I am now and having all those different shifts of perspective and change in beliefs and value of myself, I could see that the imitation that the limitation and issue was not me or anything I was doing. It was that person way of seeing the world. And that's the way they see the world, but it doesn't make me wrong. It doesn't make me bad. And it doesn't mean that I should be ashamed. So having that space is life changing. And I wish I could like do this to each and every one of you. And maybe some of you already have that, and that's wonderful. But it's a new revelation to me in this way, because I think this is one of my deepest wounds. So now seeing some progress is like, it's like the, if y'all like the gif of Rocky, like coming up the stairs and he's like, yeah, that's what it feels like. It's like, oh man, all those cycles of experience. Now I'm seeing this shift, and it's beautiful. It's wonderful. And it's so relieving. So yeah. Okay. Any other questions, comments? I mean, I don't know if anything is going to top the Abraham Hicks cruise to Hawaii. Yes, exactly, Asher. Before I would have, it's a right, the pit in your stomach when someone insults you burns. So what I didn't realize is that that can only burn if if you give it permission, if you accept it. But when you can shift your perspective of yourself and see that experience in a higher level, and because you own yourself, you know yourself, you give yourself permission, you give yourself um, approval, acceptance. So when they say it, it like doesn't come in the door. So it can't burn the pit of your stomach because you don't allow it in, because you're not fighting. Because basically, what did I value more in that moment? I valued my own perspective and opinions and value of myself rather than past people. So I finally put mine as the highest priority, if that makes sense. So, Asher, you don't get that pit. You only get that when you keep relating through the opinions, expectations, and judgments of others from the past when you were too young to know any different. And I finally upgraded that part of myself, and it was wonderful. Tell me what kind of cat you want to get, because there are many different breeds with different temperaments. Well, maybe you're the person to talk to, because I didn't know that not you, but I don't know. I would like a cuddly cat that purrs and will sit on my lap, but also likes to do its own thing. That's what I want. Can you order those? I don't actually know what kind of breed I want. I am very ignorant when it comes to knowing cat breeds. Um, Throughout my life, it was like my mom we had cats, and she still has a cat named Raven. That cat is one of the most quirky cats. And my mom just they found actually a cat when my mom and dad were walking. They love to walk in the morning, and they have to walk at like 6 a.m. in Texas because it's so hot. But they heard this little meow, and this little kitten was in the storm drain. They have no idea where it came from. But my dad went down there. He's 76. I'm like, Dad, careful. But he goes down there and gets this kitten, and then they named the cat the name of the street, which I think is so funny, Tilly. Um, and so this cat, young, spunky, and all excited, and Raven is just like, "Oh God, what is this? I'd rather be outside where it's literally 105. I'm not going to stand for this." So it's just really funny. Um, oh, really? Yeah, I mean, and I don't know. I've always like cats. Oh my gosh, crazy cat stories of crazy rescue cat stories in Texas. How did those cats survive? It's so hot and it's in the summer. So yeah, it literally has been 105 in Texas. So, oh my gosh, hello Greece. That's amazing. That's a country that I've never been to, but is always been high on my list. It's so beautiful. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, most likely, I love how we're like bouncing all over the place. I mean, this is how my brain works. It's like it holds silly tabs open and like heavy and deep. So it feels good that this chat is also the same. Yeah. So red. So red actually that would signal a lot of anger, obviously, but most likely that physiological response heavily has to do with the past. So when you start to come to peace, not because you're like, "Oh, that was fine," but you learn to see and value and shift your perspective of why it happened so you can heal yourself. When they happen real time, you're kind of like, "Wow, that's where you are. That's not where I am. I don't have to give your energy myself I don't have to give you my energy to go down to that level. I can just kind of let it be." I learned that the hard. Okay, so I'll give you a real life moment. Um, oh, yeah. I'm sorry I didn't respond. That was a busy week for me, but yes, you did invite me, and one day I will go to Greece. I One day I'm excited as everything builds and grows to go around because I love to travel and have little events and meet y'all. It would be wonderful, and then we can just hang out and talk and ask questions and then share things that bring us joy. But the other day I was driving and I was like sitting at a light, but I was like kind of far from the person in front of me. And then this guy's like kind of chatting out of the door, like he had the window down. And in hindsight, he was like talking to me, like it was upsetting him that I wasn't like right up to the car in front of me. And it was like not, it wasn't that far. Like it was like a car length. And then I have a stick shift car. I've in all of my years of driving, 90% of my cars have been stick shift. Um, and so it took me a second to like put it into gear and then go. And then he's like yelling at me. And I was like, wow. And it was like, I realized in that moment, I'm like, okay, to get upset with this guy and to be like, what's your problem? I have to give him energy. And so I can observe this situation and keep all my energy with me. And it was like, oh my gosh, it was like such an interesting experience to be like, oh my gosh, to respond to that, to be like, look at the, like, why would he do this? It's like, oh my gosh, oh, okay, I'm just going to observe this. And like to basically be more and more aware of my energy and how to keep it with me. And also, then I thought, is there a part of me that has a lot of suppressed anger that this person may be reflecting? Not that I have anything to do with him, but So that's how I use that moment. I hope that helps you. But in terms of like having an outside experience and making a new choice, Asher, that's kind of like, but it's because you start moving differently and navigating by resolving the past, not denying it, processing it to alchemize and transmute the energy. So, yeah, I don't think they tried to trigger us. The trigger is us, like, because that person could say the same thing to other people. If they don't have those wounds, like, it's not going to bother them. I do think that we energetically uh, bring people into us so that because the triggers trigger baggage. Baggage comes from our past. So you can only be, you could get upset at something, but there's a different, and y'all know what I'm talking about, different level of emotion coming up when it's because a lot of the feelings is from the past. Okay. But yeah, I mean, I do feel triggers are the gateway to healing something, especially if you're like, whoa, that was a big reaction. What's going on in me? As opposed to like, I can't believe that person did that. How dare them? Where are you? You're not with yourself. You're saying why this person, okay, what caused a big reaction? What is getting like, what is propelling that energy up within me from previous? It's not to deny, like if somebody's being an asshole to you, you're not like, oh, I mean, at least you could be, but like, you don't have to be like, oh my gosh, thanks for showing me. You can be a human, just kind of, have boundaries and like not be okay with how they're treating you. Good. Boundaries, protect yourself, take care of yourself. And, oh, okay, there's some other stuff going on. I'm going to put my energy there. So those are the kind of things that can really help shift. And tomorrow or Monday, I'm going to be sharing a video about law of correspondence. And law of correspondence heavily has to do with learning how you can learn to read your outside and how what is that coming from? That's really helped because it keeps your energy in the place. Like you're just so much more effective. You stop responding to the reflection, you start going in. So, okay. I'm definitely doing my best to observe and not give energy to the meanie weenies. I mean, sometimes what I do, and again, this is like doing God's work, right? It's like, oh God, some people, you're just like, okay. But sometimes I just start to see people, and again, I'm not immune. Like Dr. Joe talks about, it's not about not responding, but it's about your refractory period. How long do you stay there? And it's like, you can kind of get like, God, okay, what's going, bring it back to me. How can I learn from this? Keep my energy with me. And sometimes when people are like throwing fits, it's like I just see them as a kid. Like, wow, you're just like really struggling. Like you feel really powerless right now. And especially people who want to put their power on you or dominate you or like teach a lesson to you. They're working off a dynamic that they have to be on top, probably because they feel inferior. To be honest, I would still say that compared to my coworkers, I get some of the nicest customers. I never get treated as awful as they do. Well, I mean, that's wonderful. Energetically, especially if you like, yeah, really, it's just the energy. And so that's wonderful. It's a good reflection. I'm not saying that they deserve that by any means, but I just think that when you get more clear and then also learning to navigate, and maybe some of those nicest customers had the potential to be the awful ones, but it's the way that you navigated it, which created that nicest customer. I don't know, but I'm just saying, put yourself more in that mix of like how you're influencing that. I think that that's very powerful. And we can talk about in the Discord. Okay, I'm going to share it one more time. Just one more time. I just want to go and connect to all of y'all. That's why. Okay, there it is. I did it. I did it again. All right. Well, this has absolutely been wonderful. It's been a while, and I'm going to try to do this at least once a month. But I know I said that at the beginning of the year, and I will call myself out. And this year has been very interesting in terms of building up, learning more stuff on the back end of YouTube so that I can create more of a foundation to build it up. So there's been a lot of behind the scenes work internally. So it definitely feels more to a point where I can start going live again. So, oh yeah, I like that you mentioned the part about being a children. Yeah, because I mean, when people are they feel powerless. And when do you feel powerless? And when are you powerless? When you're a kid. So it doesn't mean that you have to like be their parent, but also, oh wow, if somebody is like being bull, a meanie weenie, a weenie meanie. I don't know why that's a meanie weenie. If they're doing that, like that doesn't mean they have like a free right. Obviously, you can keep your boundaries, you can protect yourself, keep yourself, be righteous. But also you can just see that like, wow, this is not a person who feels very powerful. They feel probably like out of control, which to me is a different perspective. You're like, wow, that person's having a day. It doesn't have anything to do with me. And you don't have to be pulled down either and allow it. So treated someone like trash is not childhood. I don't care about what people say. Well, I guess it depends. Like, yeah, there's a responsibility that if you keep doing it, shit coming from your childhood doesn't give you permission current day to do it. But if you can realize, wow, this person's a total asshole, oh, I can see this has nothing to do with me. So it's not giving permission to their behavior, it's allowing you to get out of that dynamic, is more so. Yeah, exactly. Um, hurt people hurt people. So not always though. Like you're saying, you had a bad childhood. You don't abuse people. People who are abusing people do not get a permission slip that it's okay how they're behaving. Adults have the responsibility to deal and transmute and heal. And the point I'm trying to make is somebody being mean to you has nothing to do with you. They're in their own shit. So if you can see that and step out and not allow it to affect you, you'll maintain that energetic, like you'll you'll maintain that bubble, I guess, energetically speaking. Oh yeah, I know. This was really fun today. A really good one. Y'all were amazing. I love it all. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's very matrix, right? You're like, and again, just to see it, it's like if you can realize if you were there or not, they'd respond the same way and you don't take it personal. Like I've hurt my feelings so many times by taking the other people's shit personally. That doesn't mean that how somebody treats me shouldn't affect me and me have a like, oh, okay, this isn't okay with me. I'm going to step out of this or like, oh, okay. But recognizing it doesn't have to do with me helps me to not take it personal. When I don't take it personal, it doesn't energetically pull me down because it has nothing to do with me. If somebody was screaming in the mirror in the bathroom and then you walked by and you were in between them and the mirror, you wouldn't be like, oh my God, I can't believe you're saying this. You're like, oh, I'm just going to get out of the way here. This is not where I need to be. So it's kind of that energy. And anybody who is an abuser, they never have a right to abuse you or treat people badly. I don't agree with that. And understanding their own shit like allows you to not roll in their shit is basically what I'm trying to say. Okay. Some people become people pleasers and others become abusers. Yeah. I mean, I do think the wounds and then the people pleasers find abusers and yeah, a lot of times and especially too in a not an abusive way, but uh in like the codependent pattern of uh the attachment styles of anxious and avoidant. Those always will team up because ultimately they can help each other find the middle to be an interdependent relationship where it's more healthy. I think that a sympathetic perspective benefits us more than the other person for sure. Versus if we get mad at them for being a certain way, then there's an underlying sense of wanting to control them. That's a good point. And then also too, if like somebody's having an issue and then you're getting upset that you're in it and then it's like is this really me living my highest life and like is this really helping me to get to the life I'm wanting like no actually this is a waste of my energy so yeah and you don't have to like write excuses for them or like give them a free pass. It's just making a choice that it has nothing to do with you and you're going to preserve your energy because you love you and you respect your energy. You respect how you're treated. You value yourself. So you put yourself in a nice environment, in a good environment where people reflect back that you're awesome. Because remember what we said. I guess I said it, but we're all going to say it. You deserve everything that you desire. Those things that just make you feel so excited, those things that, oh, you're just like, oh gosh, that would be so wonderful. You deserve that. Nothing that's happening right now is because you don't deserve it. It's simply about upgrading who you really are because right now it's probably caught up in a misunderstanding of yourself from early childhood experiences. That doesn't mean the people around you were bad or shitty. That just means that you have needs and those environments couldn't provide in the way that you need it because you're a unique soul. So remember that. It's a choice and they choose to do it. Well, they choose to not heal themselves and therefore they don't have a choice because they made their choice. So in the moment, they just keep responding to past experiences. So the choice isn't in the moment, but the choice is not doing something. In my opinion, I'm not saying that that's not true. That's just how I see it. But it is a choice. Inaction is a choice. and they are choosing to enact, which continues the issue. And if they don't see that, they blame other people. Guess what? They're going to stay in the same thing. But that's that's their choice. Like, people who want to heal have to want to heal. None of us can heal other people. None of us can force anything on other people. We can love them. We can maybe share things, and it has to come from within them, which goes all the way back. This is like the perfect like wrapping up, because everything comes from within. So nothing from the outside can force you to feel different. It all starts with within. So even that choice to, I want to create something new. I believe in myself. I think that maybe I can do that. Like, whatever it is, you making that choice is the step where you can start seeing a different reflection. The more I've healed myself, the less I react to any nasty interaction I intentionally attract. Yeah. And some of that attraction could just, like, you might just like, oh, okay, well, I'm not supposed to be here. It's like if you walk in the wrong door, you're not like, okay, I got to figure this out. You're like, oh, whoops, I'm going to go to the place that I need to go, and like little interaction of like, what does this mean? But sometimes those old wounds, those old energies can come around. You can observe them and move in the different way, that new way that you've learned through the healing. So I do find it interesting. And I'll leave with this. But recently I was thinking about confidence. Someone was mentioning it, and I looked up the etymology, because who doesn't? Probably a lot of people. But that's something my mom did all the time. She would look up the root of the word. So she's a Sagittarius rising. So the apple didn't fall far from the tree. But the etymology, the Latin root word for confidence is to trust. So the more you learn to trust yourself, that you can take care of you, you can figure it out, you can find the help, the people, the more you do that, the more confidence you have, and the more safe you'll feel that you have the means, you'll learn or you'll attract, and having that faith in you. So yeah, exactly. He did have a choice. He was the one that was supposed to take care of you, and he grossly failed to do that. And that was not your fault. That was not something you deserved. Not taking action. And I don't know what that person's like, but you never deserved abuse. You deserve love and connection, and that exists in the world. I believe the people in here, if we could hug you, we would just do a big group hug, because you deserve that. You deserve love. So um, yeah. Thank you. I'm glad you love etymology as well. Okay. Trying to see. If y'all can't hear the music now, exactly. Your ideas matter. Your opinion matters. Your existence matters. That would be a good shirt. Your existence matters. I mean, that's like the ultimate hype shirt. It's like everything about you matters, all the way down to your very existence. I mean, now I want to wear a shirt that says your existence matters. It's also like, hey, let's talk about the spiritual stuff a little bit. I love it. I mean, like, if y'all still want to hang out and have questions, I'm here for it. Hang on a second. Maybe I need to drink some water. Hello. It is. Okay, you do hear the music. I'm like, wow, I mean, maybe this is like a new thing. That's kind of funny though, because originally I was thinking about putting background music. Ask and you shall receive. But anyway, um, wait, so GS, where are you the one who commented you were at a volunteer thing, or no? Am I making this up? Sometimes I have messages and different things, and then I just make up stories in my mind and like accidentally connect different ones. Oh, how was it? How was the volunteer situation? And also, I don't know if this is on topic, but I recently stepped into my perfect reality, but somehow people of my old reality still show up. Not in harmony with this reality, but this messes up my rhythm. Well, why does it mess up? Let's dive in. Wonderful about the perfect reality. And maybe it's an idea that your perfect reality, I don't know. Give me some more information. For one, no, you're not doing anything wrong, but that also shows an idea of I'm doing something wrong, or I'm Um, I'm so very curious about this. The old reality people, what are they doing? And maybe what do you feel you have to do in order to stay in it? Like, do you feel like you have to please them, appease them, stay connected with them? Do you feel guilty about maybe limiting your time with them or closing the door completely with them? Also, I don't know the relationship. Sometimes it can get hard with family stuff, but I would think that there's a little bit more we can wiggle out here. So if you're down, PJ, let's break it down. Yeah, that's a great thing too, because just like I was saying earlier, sometimes you'll find the old energies still come up, but it's about how you respond to them and realizing, oh, they can be here and I don't have to respond to them. I can respond to them as this version of me. But I'm curious if you want to share more about the details of it. I am all eyes and ears. We made welcome home packages for the homeless. Oh, that is beautiful. I love that. I mean, if I really sit on it, I'll probably start crying. My mom did a lot of work with the homeless when I was little. It was in San Antonio, this big like yearly thing, and it always happened around my birthday. So I definitely, as an Aries, I'm like, no, it's supposed to be a national holiday. Mom, you can't go. I mean, I would go over there and hang out with her sometimes, but it definitely sometimes wasn't my favorite when it fell on my birthday. But she basically organized all the ticketing gates, and it was a big art show. And then all the money that they raised went to feeding the homeless throughout the rest of the year. And then each year they'd raise money through this big art show. Um, so yeah, that's actually interesting. I wonder if they still have that, because now one of the other things I do other than create YouTube videos and work with y'all is I create different art. Like I made this. This is a metal sculpture, and I actually welded each and every one of these. Hello, friend. Each and every one of these cubes, I welded it together and then welded it all and then painted it red. And like, there's so many things that are red in my house, and I did not intend to do that. I just kept making things that were red. First chakra. Let's get that security. Let's get that root. But anyway, so yeah, it would be interesting full circle if I had a booth at that art show, but I don't know if it still exists. But I'm going to share that secret with y'all here. Okay. I think it has to do with the relationship with them. My previous self was close and I consider them friends, but our activity brought me down. Okay. So this might be about, is a yes to them a no to you? And if you feel guilty, can you sit with that and let yourself be there, as opposed to, oh no, I have to say yes to them, but it's a no to me? But is a yes to me a no to them? Because you got to honor that. And again, I think you can dive deeper here. If you say no to them, because why are you hanging out with them? If it's bringing you down, you thought you were close, and this is where you can really start unwinding it. You know, did you have to sacrifice what you wanted around your family early on or around your parents early on? And I don't really want to do this, but I want to connect with you. So I have to not consider my experience so I can connect with you. Does that resonate? And there's no wrong, or what you're doing right now is perfect, because you're about to become more aware of yourself and more aware of unconscious choices you were making to bring you closer to a need. But when you bring this higher level of your mind, it can really start opening up new opportunities that you can perceive of. For me, it's because I was never really able to find like-minded people. Okay. It's so funny because now it's just like blasting the music as I'm like reading. And it's so funny too when you're like on camera, you're like trying to read. I'm like, oh, it really makes you feel grateful. Yeah. It's so beautiful. Mm. That's a great point too, a fear of not finding better friends. But you got to really, and again, that doesn't mean you have to shut the door. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I've had to close the door on a really close friendship, and I felt really guilty. And so much of me wanted to contact them, and basically kind of like I felt bad for, like, It's a long story, but in the after part, it's like, okay, I don't feel that this is good for me. But then I felt really guilty about having a boundary. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a bad person. This is my hurting their feelings. This is upsetting them. I shouldn't do this. And it's like, I had to remain with myself because I'm learning how to have a boundary. And yeah, it's not comfortable when you learn that because there's these ideas that I'm guilty, that I feel guilty because I feel like I'm selfish. I feel like I shouldn't do this, that I'm a bad person, I'm a bad friend. But it's like at the end of it, was I feeling honored in the friendship? Was I getting what I needed? And the answer was no. And so, even though it's hard, I have to honor myself. I have to stay with myself. If I'm not staying with me, I'm going to get people who are emotionally unavailable because I'm not being available to myself. And I am in an interesting kind of shift in a friend dynamic. So I feel you on that. And I think it's just when you're open to it and taking away like, oh, if people aren't into this or that, then we can't be good friends, because you can connect deep with people if they can connect deep with themselves. And that might look a lot of different ways in their real life experience outside. They could be into all this stuff, but they're able to go deep with you. And that's what really matters. Yeah. I mean, I feel you on that. That's your own process and how you need to do it. Totally understandable. But it's like, if the only reason you open up the door is fear of not doing any better, then you're going to keep the energy of something you don't want. And again, I'm not saying don't do what you're doing, because you gotta do you, boo. But just being aware of what the choice is meaning, I think that can help. Because if you're like, okay, every time I open the door, and it's okay if I open it, but I'm allowing an energy that it doesn't make me feel more alive. It doesn't bring me like a lot of joy. So, things to consider, and having compassion with yourself. And maybe there's me. Wait, I think we had talked about this, and that like not being a lot around there. Is that right? Let's see. How do affirmations work, and can I use them in my life? Sure. In my opinion, an affirmation is to affirm or strengthen something, right? And of course, I looked at the etymology. But, think about a plant, okay? And I live near Portland. The Portland is a city of roses, right? So we'll take a rose bush. If you had a rose bush that was like struggling and like had a lot of branches that were just like kind of dying off, we'll say that's like a limiting belief. If you wanted to put a new rose bush there, you wouldn't put it on top of the other one. So sometimes I feel like people do that with affirmations. They try to plant over a pre-existing plant, which that's not going to work, because the new plant cannot get its roots in the ground and fortify. And that's what an affirmation is, to strengthen. So part of affirmations, yes, they can be very powerful. They can be very helpful. And they can get you like in the energy of that new way. You'll have to also work on pulling out the old limiting beliefs, ideas about yourself, perspective of yourself, and be able to create the space to plant that new rose bush, and then use those affirmations like water or like um, fertilizer. If you just have fertilizer, that's not going to really help. You need that plant and the capacity of that plant to grow. So yes, affirmations are strong, and shadow work, belief shifting, learning how to do all that is equally important in my opinion. So I hope that helps. But yeah, if you're just starting out, start them. Like, get in that energy. I think like looking in the mirror, having that energy in your body is helpful. And then also with the Discord challenge we're going to do, the way we're going to do it is also going to be helpful. I just can't stop like teasing it. It's just so fun. I want to share it with everyone. Okay. You've opened my eyes to self-abandonment. Oh, I mean, it's beautiful, and I'm sorry that you have it, but it really, like, I could have never thought that like 4 years ago, my struggle with self-abandonment and all the horrible things it was bringing into my life repeatedly would ever help anybody else. So this is like really interesting. And I didn't even start my YouTube channel thinking about sharing my self-abandonment. It seems like really obvious now, but it wasn't at the time. I think because I was still in self-abandonment. Because if you look back on my YouTube channel, like March 2020, I actually didn't necessarily, I had done videos before, but I didn't actually start picking up, being more consistent until March of 2020, which really didn't have to do with the pandemic. It had to do with where I was. I actually was just getting out of that abusive relationship. And so it was like I was still in self-abandonment basically. And you can look at my chronological evolution of how I talk about self-abandonment since then. But yeah, that was basically the moment I realized, oh, I didn't cause that abuse, but I'm allowing myself to be in a situation. Like, what am I, like, how did I get here? And starting to unpack it that way. I'm really doing better with boundaries. Wonderful. Mine were missing in action this time last year. Incredible. And that's one thing too, is look back at your life a year ago, or even at the beginning of this year. Like, whoa, come a long way. It's wonderful. I might talk a little bit more about this in the Discord later. Teaser, because it's an interesting topic to touch on. Okay, I actually have to take off for now. Okay, well, this was wonderful. Thank you for joining. Love it. And see you soon. You said something interesting about how if one feels like they can't do any better, then they'll keep attracting what they don't want. Can you expand on that? Yes, I'm trying to think of an idea. Oh, thank you, Jimbo. Every time I see your name, Jimbo, I just think of my best friend's dad, because we called him Jimbo. His name was Jim, but Jimbo was very much a cowboy, country guy, and I'm trying to convince her to write a book about all of his Jimboisms. Like he would say, let it be what it's going to be, but in a real thick, let it be. So he just has these like incredible, wise, like teachings, quotes, mantras. And yeah, so when I see your name, it's like, I feel connected to him. Okay. So let's see. Let the music guide us. We'll let the music guide. I like how it shifted now. Now we're talking a little bit more serious, and it's matching us. So if you feel like you can't do any better. So also too, what that reflects is how you see yourself. I'm powerless to changing anything. So I better hold on to what I got, even though it doesn't make me happy. So it shows the limiting beliefs of that you can't control things, or you don't have any influence into things. It shows the limiting beliefs of this is as much as I can get. I'm just trying to like kind of, my brain's starting to like go downhill in terms of getting tired. So I'm trying to think of my own personal experience. Like for me, I would find people in past relationships who emotionally, we did not connect. Like I constantly had to kind of keep chasing. Like I felt like if I let go, then the relationship would not be anything because they were not into it. But yet I kept accepting that behavior. So it's like, where were my standards and my value of myself? When I changed my value, I was not interested or attracted to this dynamic anymore. So I don't know if that's making sense. I feel like I'm jumbling my words right now. If one feels like they can't do any better, then they'll keep attracting what they don't want. Yeah. So I didn't want this, but I valued myself. I was also looking for validation to feel better from this. So I just kept resonating the same level. So I had to say, you know what? I am valuable. I am worthy. I do deserve my needs to be met. I do have a need. I see this need. I'm going to be emotional available to myself. That in itself, simply doing that is a big step. Because if you're like, okay, I see that I have a need that's not getting met. You're literally in that moment being emotionally available to yourself. And then this dynamic becomes more and more unattractive, almost like you can't even really be around it because you're just like, okay, that's boring or not okay, or just like not interesting. But before I was into the chase of like, oh, okay, if I do this, then you'll validate me and then I'll feel better. So thinking that my safety or my worth was in them. So I kept wanting to chase. But when I started like learning how to stop self-abandoning, the chase became less interesting, not interesting. Like, I don't really want that. I'm not sure if that helps. I'm doing my best here with my words. Yeah, exactly. Because what you're chasing after is actually self-connection. That's what you're looking for. So when you go and the person like gives you a response, it's like temporarily, oh, it gives you a thrill. And also too, emotionally, I was addicted to that. So I had to get real with that and learn to not be so emotional, like that was another thing too. Okay. I appreciate how you, okay. One more thing I want to know. I realize some of my past actions are being reflected in the now and it hurts, but can I rewrite it? Can you give me a little bit more info about what that looks like to give me more context? Also, this is like share Saturday 2023, but when I was little, I couldn't say my R's and they're still kind of hard to say. And so like I still struggle with certain words, especially when I get a little tired. And every once in a while, the old R, it's like nurse. It's almost like it was like a little accent, but it was like a little speech impediment. Um, but yeah, but now I notice that I like have to say R's really strong. So it's kind of funny. Oh, thank you. Gonna make me cry. Just tears of joy. Thank you very much for your generosity. I appreciate it. I almost want to take that and put it towards your Discord membership because I swear, and I know there's others will back me up. The Discord is fun, and I secretly just want everyone to be in it, so we can basically do this all the time. I mean, that's what it would be. And then we're going to have monthly live streams, but I kind of foresee it as like people can get on and then like we can talk like video chat one-on-one in the group. I just think it'd be fun. So. Oh yeah, here. I keep sharing it. I don't know how to do a pinned. Oh my gosh, could I have pinned this the whole time? Oh my gosh, I just learned how to pin, guys. This was real time. You just watched me learn how to pin. In the pinned comment is the Discord link. Well, it's a free week of the Discord. Well, buckle up. We're still in it. I said I was going to go 45 minutes ago, but we're still here and I love it. So, I hope everyone's loving to watch my evolution of my technology skills. You should have watched me try to set up the Discord community. It was a miracle. And that's a lot of stuff I've had to do on the back end that y'all haven't seen necessarily, but is completely having just be like, I don't know how to do this. And the version of me that I'm wanting to become does. And so I'm going to have to just march on through and get uncomfortable. And my perception of its pain and like hardness and was worse than the actual experience. That's one thing I've learned about me is that a lot of times I catastrophize when I go like unconscious blank. I'm like, oh no, insert every bad thing that could happen. And 99% of the time that doesn't happen. And if something does come up, it's not what I envisioned. I used to do this all the time when I made furniture. I would have these really big tables and I would be like, oh, what if this and what if that, or like delivering it. And I just remember this one time it was like delivering it to this really nice lake house. And my friend, the one who I talked to, her dad was Jimba. She would always help me. And this was a particularly heavy and big table. And it was up the stairs. And then you had to take an immediate like right angle. So I'm like, oh my gosh, how are we going to like carry it up the stairs and make that corner? And just like, I would think about it and think about it and think about it. And in the moment, my body is feeling as if that bad thing's happening. Note that. And the day came and I'd, mentally rehearsed and practiced all these negative things. And we just walked it straight through because I didn't know that because of the angles, it was fine. We didn't have to do a curve. It just opened up and it was easy. It was so easy. Nothing negative happened. And I'd wasted all that time and energy worrying about what never actually happened. So learn from me, folks. Not worth the worry. What if the affirmations don't work? Stop working. Well, because you've got to remove the old rose bush. If the you can't out affirm a belief, you have to start dissolving the belief by shifting your perspective of yourself, shifting the meaning of why something happened. Because that's what a belief is, a strong opinion. Something happened and you formed a reason why it happened, and you hold it as if it's real and true. And when you start to say, wait a second, how do I know that this is real? And start to question it and start affirming, that's when you can start to alchemize. Oh, and now we're getting more. Every Saturday, I guess at noon, now I know, the cutter, the lawn people come. Anyway, so one of the reasons on why it might not be working is because you're putting a lot of energy on the new thing, but the old thing is just sitting there. So I have one of my videos is literally about how to find and remove limiting beliefs. And I highly suggest going through that and watching it, because it's going to show you how, because affirming, that's kind of like, okay, telling yourself this new version of you, trying to feel that in your body, trying to feel it as natural, and also doing the other work to dissolve it. Because you can't, if there's a car in a parking spot, even if you get and it's a beat up car you don't want anymore, and you get this new brand new car, you can't put it in your parking space unless you remove the old car. And it's not just a 1-for-1 with beliefs. It is a dissolve and kind of a transference, but you've got to start working on dissolving that. Okay, I've watched many videos. Okay, I've watched many times many of your videos on limiting beliefs. While you were frequently mentioning Dr. Joe's work, I feel that it would be great if you made an updated video covering those two topics. I found the video extremely helpful and could resonate with so many of the situations you shared. I felt, though, that some things were overlapping. I'm a full-time trader and found your videos a blessing, Marie. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's a great idea about, now, are you saying just in general, is there specific videos that you'd want to see me remake? Let me know, and I would totally do a remake of the video. But yeah, thank you for nice words. And then also that suggestion, because that's, sometimes I forget, like, having a channel and with my Aries vibe of like, let's do this, let's make it and do it as best I can. And like, YouTube is a wild world about like how different things get shared. And, and in real time, everything I'm sharing with y'all, I'm working on in this version of me as somebody who says what they believe. And that's something I'm still unpacking. I still feel there's like, when there's like, this is more comfortable, but when I sit down to do like a regular video, like I can feel an energy like block wall. So I'm still working with that. And, I've applied this belief transformation stuff when it came to my athletic career, and then when it came to relationships. And so now I'm doing it in how I show up in the world. And it's a process. And in the world of YouTube, you get to document that for all the world to see. There's no hiding. There's no like, let me do it in my room alone. It's like, the way to do it is literally publicly. So, it's part of the process. And I feel like this year has been a huge shift for me. It's going to get loud right now. Hold on. It's really funny because it's in the summer here. There's like very, very little rain. And so they're kind of just like mowing dry, like hay. It's just kind of funny. But, there are some weeds and it does look prettier when they mow. So, anyway, okay. Let me know what video you want me to remake, and I would love to remake it. Oh, wow. That was so weird. I don't know what just happened, but a different page popped up and I thought like we just got cut off, but yeah, here you are. You were resilient. Okay, cool. But yeah, if you can just like start to just think, what if it were true that a belief is an opinion I'm holding as true? and an opinion can be changed. Okay, have you ever had an opinion about something, thought something was absolutely this thing, and then realized later, oh my gosh, that's not that's not it. Like I thought for sure it was that, and I changed my opinion. I changed my perspective. Here's one funny thing that's kind of more like, it's not as deep, but my dad used to think that, what you eat for breakfast, some people eat, oats. He thought it was oak meal, like a tree. And he just thought that that's how what it was. And it was like one day he was like, it's oat. Like, I was like, whoa, like, I don't know how he got there and how many years he had that, but like, that's one thing. It's like a misunderstanding, a mishearing. Obviously, that's a very like silly example. And, um, so things about me, like my sexuality, like I thought I was embarrassing, period. And it wasn't until recent years that it's like, oh, some people are embarrassed, but that doesn't make me embarrassing. And that has been an incredible shift of perspective of like, oh my God, I thought it was a belief. I believed that I was embarrassing. And so how did I act? Like what I was doing was embarrassing. So it's like if you ever think there's something on your face, and have you ever done that? You're like, oh, okay, yeah, sorry, I've got something on me. And you go to the mirror and there's nothing there, but you were acting as if it were true that you had something on you. You're going to act in the world, whatever your strong opinion is. So, but it can change. If only limiting beliefs were as easy to remove as removing a weed, but I get a strange sort of attachment to beliefs. That's interesting, even if they're self deprecating because it's a way to understand the world. That is a really powerful aspect to it. And this brings back something we talked about at the beginning of there's an element of mourning and sadness when you move out of it because there is a level of comfort. Even if your limiting beliefs are causing you pain, there's a level of comfort in that pain, even though you're like, how can these two things, like we are meant to survive. So if your subconscious knows that you can survive that really terrible, painful, all the years of rejection, you can survive there. Okay, let's just keep going because we know we're okay. We'll survive here. Hang on. It's going to get loud again. He's doing laps. I do find a sense of peace watching like them cut the yard. But anyway, um, so yes, there is an attachment. So it's like, can you recognize it and step into the unknown? Can you start to let go of who you've been? Can you start to step into the discomfort that will eventually be a source of peace? But there's going to be some discomfort. How would it feel if you didn't have that? If you thought you were worthy, if you thought you deserved to be as much as anyone else on this earth, you deserve to have your needs met just as much. Now, if that makes you feel uncomfortable, start thinking also too, where did you get those ideas? Did the caregivers when you were growing up tell you like, well, you're selfish if you get what you want. Oh, you're going to spoil. Like humans don't spoil. Milk spoils, meat spoils, vegetables spoil. Humans don't. You can't have an abundance of your needs getting met. Your needs just get met. An abundance of happiness. These are limiting ideas coming from other people. That doesn't mean that you have to agree with them. You can see them there and say, oh, okay, that's what you believe. But yeah, you don't have to accept it. Um, but yeah, it can be a process. And your awareness that there's an attachment to the old beliefs and there's a level of comfort, we'll say, that's powerful to even start to just take in. Okay, I'm not gonna mute it now. I was muting it. Let's see if you can hear it. Now he's a little bit further away. Or she, I don't know if it's a man or a woman. I feel like trying to get rid of negative beliefs results in unintentional focusing on them even more. Well, I think it's the trying to get rid. Like to get rid of a belief, you don't focus on the belief. It's it's the history of the belief, in my opinion. I don't know if that sounds different to you, but it's like I'm not going to focus on the belief that I was embarrassing. I wasn't trying to change. Like, no, I didn't change the belief that I'm not embarrassing by focusing on like I am not embarrassing. I am not embarrassing. That's not how I changed it. I went to see to understand why I even thought that. What was the gestation? What was the evolution of me learning to think that way? Oh, it's a misunderstanding. So I don't know if that helps y'all, but that's what helped me. And you're right, focusing on it, just your energy is on it. But like, what's the background? What's the history of that belief? Okay, I don't want to get too deep, but I used to abuse a certain substance and I made bad choices during that time. That was 7 years ago. Although that was still past, random things still pop up. Now, is the random things that pop up, I guess there's kind of a couple different things that come to my mind. Is it guilt? Is it shame about decisions you made in the past? And then maybe someone reminds you of that. Maybe it's more of a legal thing. Maybe like, there's a literal like material aspect that pops up on like, I don't know, credit stuff or like background. I don't know what it could be, but I'm just trying to get an idea because it could be more about the meaning and the guilt. Maybe it's about your own forgiveness, about your journey, maybe things you went through that created experiences that have made you stronger and gone deeper with yourself. But if you have a judgment of it, or if you fear other people, that could you can heal those and resolve those without changing the past. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm the only one who can hear the laps. Well, so that could be a lot of that self-judgment. And this is where you can kind of go out a little bit more. Did you grow up with, like, are those thoughts your own? Did you have a hypercritical parent or caregiver who kind of thought that way? Because in the book, Conquering Your Critical Inner Voice, they talk about this, that a lot of our internal dialogue, unless you've kind of upgraded, might not be yours. It might be your mom's, your dad's, your uncle, your teacher, your sibling. Like, well, maybe you shouldn't have done that. And like that kind of a judgment, criticism. And it could have been out of a self-love. I don't know. I'm not saying these people are bad, but it learned and it wired your mind to think, I gotta criticize. If I did the bad thing and now I'm bad. Look, I did bad and this is why is that true? Like, is this my voice? Is this my idea? Is this my judgment? It might not be. It might be, oh, that's my mom or that's my dad. Wow, I had no idea. All these years, I just accepted it as myself because you keep recreating it. Potentially, I don't know. But these are kind of some things that would come to my mind to start to think about, to unwrap from that idea. Because it's like if you can start to see maybe some benefits, and I'm not saying that experience was good or happy. However, it's like, did you have some lessons that have completely changed your life for the better? And some of that happened as a result of something very painful. If you can start to get there, that might help you accept those things and learn, I don't know if to love them because I don't know your experience, but to see them in a different way as opposed to something. It's like right now that period seems like a reason to judge yourself from what I've read so far. And I could be off on that, but if you can learn like, wow, this is actually a powerhouse of learning. And, just like with weights, the more resistance you have with that painful experiences or heavy things, it can build your capacity, but it can also crush you. And it's all about how you hold it, if that makes sense. So learning how to hold it differently could actually increase your capacity and really deepen things with yourself. How do I deal with the feeling like I'm between worlds? As in trying to see it from the end while navigating the 3D. I can totally see my responses are those of the ideal version of myself. Are your feelings? I don't know why I'm sitting like this. Now, thinking, great, but where is that body? Where are you feeling? Do you feel safe? Do you feel like something bad's about to happen, but you're like, it's okay, I'm doing fine, I'm fine. And you know what I mean? Because it's not just the thoughts, it's about the feelings. The feelings are going to be most important because if you feel like you're like, I'm trying to do the right thing, but I really don't know if this is going to work, that you're not bad, but we want to get real with ourselves. You don't want to live in like la la fantasy land. And I'm not saying you are, and it's important to where are the feelings. How do you feel when you're doing that? We got the music back. It's kind of funny too. The lawnmower stopped and the music started. Okay, that's a big one. I'm waiting on the outside to give me permission to say it's okay, because the waiting, in my opinion, my brain goes to childhood. You have to wait for your parent to give you permission, wait for the approval, wait for the okay, you're doing good. And if it's some end experience, if it's abundance, if it's love, how can you start getting that to you now in small amounts, where you're not having to wait for the outside to, relying on your experience or your sense of safety or your okayness on something else, someone else. Is that resonating at all? That you're like doing what you're supposed to do, but having to wait for recognition or being seen, or I'm not being valued. Is any of that resonating? This is for sure the longest stream ever. I'm so excited. Everyone's still here. Which one was it? Also, I think that this is so fun. Jimbo, if you're still here, the original Jimbo, or my Texas Jimbo, he would always crush his cans like he would drink, and there's like a thumb indent, but this is like a little plastic, obviously wine glass, but this is just water, folks, but it has a little indent for your thumb. And I find it delightful. It's like, why doesn't everything have a thumb placement? We should start a revolution. What if my whole channel then like shifted and I'm like, I've got to get, this is why I'm like going loopy, where I'm like talking about thumb holds on glasses. The music is really bumping now. Okay. I want to hear what aspect that is before, and it's like something on the wall. It scared me. I need to work on allowing myself to be okay where I am if I'm not waiting. That's true. Yeah. And also, what is it like? Get into why you feel you have to wait. Part of it could be like you don't actually feel deserving. Do you feel like you can have it? Do you feel like you are worthy of it? Like getting more into that, because I think our, whatever you want to call it, ego, it could be a way to distract yourself of what you're actually feeling. Well, I'm in the process of waiting. I've done everything I need to, but it's like, am I allowing? Do I actually feel like I can have this? Do I actually give myself permission? Okay, I did all this work and still I'm having to wait. So feeling some sort of sense of betrayal, maybe. But again, I would look at why do you feel powerless? Let's see. I feel like I'm waiting for the 3 to catch up sometimes too. What are you waiting for it to do? Because if you're waiting for it to give you an end emotion. So what do you think the end emotion would be? And then what are other ways that you can start taking the action, maybe cutting people out of your life, maybe asking for more, maybe speaking your needs, maybe showing up for yourself. I'm not sure of the like exact element or aspect of it. So that's why I'm like kind of, okay, I think my brain's officially about to melt. So I want to finish up with this, and then I think I'm going to go to the Discord. I want to feel peace more than anything. Okay, well, peace is an internal thing. And I'm not saying this of like, well, this is easy, but peace is not caused by the outside. Peace is about the meanings, the reasons, the perspectives of everything within your, like in regards to yourself. So peace, in my opinion, would be about letting go more. Peace is about allowing. The absence of peace would be control, resistance, needing it to be a certain way so that you can then feel peace, would be the opposite of actual peace. And I'm not saying that's an easy thing, but how can you just take a moment to say, you know what, what if the way things are is the way to get to where I'm wanting to go? And in the process, I can have peace. I can have peace knowing that what's meant for me will come to me, and I don't have to fight for it. I don't have to get its attention. Oh, remember me. Oh gosh, what if I don't get it? That's something that I struggle with. But how can you say, okay, what if, and just start to like, I guess it's like kind of thought ideas and experiments. What if this is the path? What if I'm not off the path and I got to work to get back on it? But what if this is actually the path that I'm meant to have, that this is what's leading me to where I'm wanting to go? And in the process, I have peace knowing that. And I have confidence. I have that trust. I'm full of trust of myself, knowing that I can get to where I want to go. I can say what I need to say, ask for the help I need, and get the resources that I need. And the more I stay with me, the more peace I have. So I don't know if that helps, but I mean, I think that what you're sharing, a lot of people can resonate with, especially when you're like, okay, I'm doing the work, but I think that that might echo an early on pattern of like, okay, do all of your work and you'll be a good boy or girl, and then you'll get, and then, like also too, did you feel you had to wait to get what you had earned? Was there a delay? Was there a question? Oh, thank you. Well, I mean, the 12K about what I have to share, and like, I experience my attachment wounds now with YouTube, and it's about healing, and it's about learning how to stay with me and not self abandon and really have confidence and trust in myself to get it to the next level. So that's what I'm saying. I'm literally having to learn and grow, just like I'm sharing with y'all in this new iteration. I've done it in other parts of my life, so I know it's real and it's true and what it can do. And I real time have to do it in front of y'all, and I'm okay with that. Before that was really embarrassing for me for a long time. So I'm growing. We're all growing together. Yep, there we go. Okay, I have a thing about being made to wait. So now what could be interesting, and I'm not saying it is, but I'm just saying let's go on this little thought. Let's all join arms and lock arms. We're going to walk on this path of what if. What if the person who was now making you wait was you, by thinking that something else had to be different to get what you want? Oh, thank you. We're doing it together. And I really am very happy with this community, and like, especially with, again, I'm going to say the Discord link pinned in comments, but like, it just, yeah, I feel like there was some stuff I needed to do in my internal world to trust myself, to like be the voice of this community and also realize I'm part of it and we're all in it together. And I think we can create a lot of amazing things. Okay, I'm excited and I'm glad we got this up. But yeah, what if it's me who's now keeping what I want from me, unconsciously recreating a pattern? And that can go in a lot of different ways. And we can keep talking about it if you want to get in the Discord for this 7-week trial. I'm not even kidding. Because I love to help people. I love to unwrap it because I have somebody who helps me unwrap it, and kind of get more clear on things. So I want to offer as much as I've learned for myself, because also too, sometimes another perspective can just help so much. So anyway, I love you all. Thank you so much for spending your Saturday time with me. Our longest, let's see. Okay, for real, we're all going to go. But this was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I didn't even finish my coffee. That's how much fun I was having. So until the next time, very much love. I'm going to be releasing a video. I'm going to hope for tomorrow. At this point, I'm like, but I think it will be fun. This is a good warm up, because the next part of the video I'm going to record is like kind of real time how to do it, which we were just talking about. So anyway, I love y'all. Thank you. Everyone have a wonderful Saturday morning, afternoon, night. Have a wonderful cruise. Holding weights really hits home as I'm trying to get in shape. Getting in shape is part of my daily routine, and I'm really getting, okay, good. Yeah, like that is it. Like emotionally, we got to get in shape. We got to build our capacity. And what it reminds me of is when you accept, this is one thing. I'll leave this one more thing. See, I could go on forever. When you accept something and you allow it to be, that doesn't mean you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to accept this shitty thing in my life and just live with it. But you're like, okay, this is what's happening. It's like you increase your capacity to hold on to it. Because if you're like, no, this can't happen, you're resisting it. But if you allow, you're like, okay, I accept that it's happening. It like allows you to increase your capacity. And it reminded me like of a balloon, a balloon that's not filled, it just sits there. But if you've ever put a balloon on a water spout and then the water goes in and whoop, the capacity immediately expands. That's kind of what I think, and my experience and where I am with things, of how you build that capacity, that it's not always about wonderful things happening, but just accepting and being dedicated to create the interchanges and evolve, but also accepting and building that capacity to hold that maybe heavy emotion. And you don't have to do it alone. So remember, there's a Discord group link at the top, and also to somatic workers and different healers can help as well. But I love y'all. I'm gonna go for real, for real. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'm gonna go have a bite and record more videos. So look for the video tomorrow or Monday. Law of correspondence. I hope you'll enjoy it, and I love y'all. Thank you for spending your time with me. Bye.